Hey Loom Knit friends, welcome back to LlamaMamaKayla's Yarn Tube. So today I am making this baby toy, and so I thought I would show you guys what I'm making and how I'm making it in case you have a baby you would like to make one for. And so for this project I am using acrylic yarn. You can use acrylic yarn or 100% cotton yarn. It's your preference, whatever you want to make it, however you want to make it. Okay, but for this project we are using 2 strands held together as one. That means this 2 strands equals 1 strand. It's not, we're not holding 2 strands as 2 strands, we're holding 2 strands as 1 strand. I see a lot on Facebook, people are worried about keeping their strands from twisting. That doesn't matter because we're using it as 1 strand, 2 strands as 1 when you hold 2 together. So it doesn't matter if it twists or not. So do not worry about that. Okay, we need our tapestry needle, some scissors, our loom knit pick, and we're going to be using a spool loom. That's what these are called, a spool loom. We're going to be using the small ends. Now, this one is my favorite, but because I'm using 2 strands together, these little pegs are short, so it's going to be hard for 4 strands to go on there and be able to pick 2 off and not grab the other. It just slows me down. So I'm going to set that one aside. And I'm going to use this boy spool loom, which is not my favorite because of these hooks right here. But for this project, or any project when I use 2 strands held together, I have to use the one with the taller pegs. So, and what we're going to do, for this long tube, you're going to need to make it about 12 to 13 inches long. For the smaller two rings here, you can make them anywhere from 7 to about 10 inches long. But for the first one, make it about, the longest one there, make it about 12 or 13 inches. Okay, so I'm going to get started making my 4th ring. I'm putting another small ring on this one. So I'm going to take my yarn and make a slip knot. And I just have it marked where my first peg is. Oh, I'm going to leave a little bit more of a tail than that. I forgot. We are going to use the tail to help finish off the project. So you want to leave a little bit of a tail. Enough that you can, work with. Okay, so I'm going to drop my tail down into the center. And I placed my slip knot on my first peg. I'm just going to pull that and kind of tighten it. Okay, and I'm just going to E-wrap around all the pegs. Kind of push them down. And I'm just going to E-wrap again around all the pegs. And we're using 2 strands to make it sturdier. 1 strand is just too floppy and will not work. Then we're just going to yarn over our bottom loops over the top. The first ones there are a little bit tough, and then it gets easier. Okay, so we made it all the way around, and we're just going to push those down. And I'm not counting rows. We are just making a little tube that's going to come out the other end. And like I said, it needs to be, about 7 to 10 inches. And it's kind of nice if these 3 rings that we're putting on this one, if they're different sizes, that's kind of adds to the toy. So it doesn't need to be a certain size, just anywhere from 7 to 10 inches. So this is what I'm going to do for the whole project. I'm just E-wrapping, yarning over, and then pushing these loops down. And then I'm going to E-wrap. And yarn over again. And I'm just going to continue to do that until my tube is coming out the bottom here. And I'll hold my measuring tape up and see if I've got about 8 inches or so. So that's what I'm just going to continue to do, and every now and then you can kind of just pull on this to pull it down some. But yeah, just sit here and E-wrap and yarn over and continue to do that, and I'll meet back up with you in just a few minutes. Okay, so after you have just E-wrapped and E-wrapped and re-wrapped until your I-cord is coming out of the bottom of the spool, and you can take your measuring tape and just kind of hold it there and measure. And mine is about 7 inches, maybe just a tad bit over. So I'm going to call that good because I kind of wanted 3 different sizes, although this might be close to the size of this one. But I'm going to go ahead and call that one good. Okay, so I'm going to leave a pretty long tail right here. So we're going to use this tail to put it together also. So leave a pretty long tail and then clip off your yarn. Okay. Now I'm going to use a tapestry needle for this part. You can use your loom pick if that's what you want to use. But since I'm getting 2 strands together, sometimes it starts unraveling. So now I'm just going to start in my first peg, and I'm just going to go up and pull the yarn up. And this is called a drawstring cast off. Now when we pull this off the loom, we want to be careful not to pull it to close the end. We want to leave the end open. Okay, and we're back to the first, and I'm going to go ahead and go up the first one more time just to close it off really well. Okay, and like I said, we're not going to close this off yet. Okay, we'll get them all off the loops. Now just hold from the side instead of pulling from your strand because it will close it. Just hold from the side and pull it up. Okay, so we have it off the loom, and so we're going to take our slip knot tail, the end where we have the slip knot, and thread it onto a tapestry needle or yarn needle, whatever you call it. Okay, so we're going to take this and kind of run your finger in the I-cord just to open it up a little bit. Make sure it's open. Okay, so we're going to take, first we're going to put it on here. Let's see, how do I want it? I think I want it on this side of the yellow. So we're going to take our tapestry needle with the I-cord tail and place it into the tube, the I-cord tube, and just run it up a little bit, and then we're going to pull it through. And if you watch, we're going to pull that end up into this. You just want to pull it up in there. I mean, mine goes to about right here. So I'm just going to drop that and leave it for now. And the reason why I'm not weaving it in yet is because I want to make sure everything else is good. Okay, so I'm going to finagle this around. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this tight, but not too tight because you don't want to make an indentation, but you do want to close it up snug onto this side. Now we can take our tapestry needle, and we're going to go through the loops here and pick up the stitches over here. So we're going from here to this side, and we're going to get stitch on this side to close that up, and pull your yarn so that your stitch, closes, and then go over to this, another stitch over, and do the same thing. You're kind of going at an angle to pull that through, and then just keep going around, but you want to make sure you go in on this side and come out on this side of the I cord and just pull that through there. Okay, and now I'm going to kind of go on the inside of it. You might not be able to see what you're doing, but I can't either. And I'm just going to kind of go at an angle and come out right here and pull the yarn to tighten that stitch. Okay, and then we're going to come off over here and do the same thing, just working around the tube here. Okay, and you might want to go around a time or two, just check your stitches and see if you're satisfied with it, if you feel like it's secure enough for a baby to play with and pull on. Okay, I think mine's good. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to close mine off, and what I'm going to do is take my yarn, and wherever I pulled out at, I'm going to go in a stitch right beside that, or that stitch actually, and I'm going to pull my yarn through that top stitch, but I'm going to leave, before I close this circle up, I'm going to pull my needle back through here to tie off. So I tied that off, push that little knot down. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this tail is I'm going to go in the I cord, and I'm going up into the hollow end of the I cord, and I'm just pulling this, pushing my needle down and coming out, and I'm going to go back in that hole and just come out somewhere else and just do this a little bit just to run that strand up in there. And you could have cut it by now if you wanted to. I'm just on a roll, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut it. So I'm just going to cut that, and your tail will pop in. Okay, so what I'm going to do with the tail that I had originally, like I said, I left it just in case I needed to undo anything. I didn't want to hide the tail and close it off just yet. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go in and run it through the I cord and pull it, and just keep doing that. Alright, so here we have a cute little baby toy. Okay, and just to recap what we did, you can use acrylic yarn or cotton yarn. It's your preference, your toy. You decide what you want to use. We're using 2 strands. No matter what you use, use 2 strands. This first ring that we made is this purple ring, and you want to make it about 12 to 13 inches. Because about an inch is going to go up in the tube, remember? So make it about 12 to 13 inches. And then the 3 colors that you put on it, make them anywhere from 7 to 10 inches. And you can make them different lengths so that all the circles are not the same. I think my yellow one is the biggest, and then the pink and the purple seem to be about the same. But anyway, there we go. A cute little loom knit toy that is easy to make. It works out really fast. And I might trim that just a little bit more. But yeah, it's real easy to make and fast to make. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all again very soon.